Chief Justice, members of the judiciary, senior counsels, panelists, lawyers, the Honorable Minister of Education, Assistant Minister of Education, and of course, distinguished guests. It is my pleasure and duty to present the closing address for this important conference. I'm not going to try to summarize everything. However, I will make some comments and observations that may be helpful to you and of course the legal profession. I wish to thank with sincerity all the guest speakers for investing their time, the skill and insights into the address that formed the agenda. All of them have direct and crucial relevance for our society. Or as the Prime Minister said in his singular speech, our evolving society. Let's not forget, we are a new nation, born in 1970. So naturally, we are still engaged in the business of building this country into the home we want it to be. Our task is to create Fiji out of the many peoples and cultures that inhabit our islands. It must be a Fiji for everyone. Each of you, members of the legal profession, have a distinct and important part to play in nation building. A country and society cannot function and reach its peak without a foundation of sound rules, laws, and legal precepts. These are especially critical for a developing democracy like ours. I want to add at this point that I and my colleagues have listened carefully to everything that has been said here in the last 2 days. We will return to our offices and ponder these statements and interventions. Where necessary, we will take action to adapt some of the things we have heard to help with the governance of our beloved Fiji. Since we came to power last December, to be exact, 24 December 2022, we have emphasized continuously that we will listen to the people, to different sectors of our society, and to professors like yourselves. We may not always like what we hear, but that is beside the point. It is our duty to take note of what society thinks and to do our best to meet its expectations. Look around this room, I see many people who have been in the forefront of the very complicated and yet incomplete mission of willing together the different parts of Fiji until we reach unified nationhood. Congratulate them all for their service and dedication. I pick up again something the Prime Minister said, and I quote, "Fight like hell," unquote, in court, and then afterwards work together for the people and be open with one another. The Honorable Prime Minister described you as a quality controllers for leadership. I would encourage you to discuss that and think about it. You are certainly in a position, as the Prime Minister said, to help the government refine the quality of our laws. I encourage you to give some thought as well to his comments about social evolution. You might consider how this applies in the context of legal evolution. I urge you to explore what he said about autochthonous laws that grow out of the population and our circumstances. How should we approach this? The Honorable Prime Minister appeared to go far beyond our remit when he spoke briefly about his idea for an ocean of peace. I know that he is closely following up on this concept, especially with the context of the turmoil and strife that marks the world today. His thinking is for island states of our region to proclaim to the entire international community that we are now and forever an ocean of peace. He has canvassed the idea among some of the world's top leaders and among his colleagues in the Pacific Island Forum. I can assure you that if all goes well, we'll be looking for the adoption of legal principles and conventions to guide this new addition to the geography of the world. In fact, I suspect he may want to talk directly to you as professionals about the entire scheme. It is very real, and there is growing activity beyond the scenes. You will remember that what he said about the challenging President Biden and Mr. Xi to discuss peace with each other. He got a smile from them in return, so I'm sure he will be focused on what those smiles meant. Session 4 of the conference related to the marine environment in a very specific way, with emphasis on the preservation of the maritime zones in the face of climate change and rising sea level. UNCLOS, the UN Convention on the Law of the Sea, will to an extent help Fiji to protect 30% of its seawater as marine protected areas. This too is integral to our development at this point in history. The legal aspects are fundamental. There are so many other issues from the last 2 days that have great bearing on our society. The last one was very passionate, emotional. Thank you, Mariko. I just shared with our guests that I was a student, English student in 1987 at the University of the South Pacific. As a foundation student. Wow, it's amazing to catch up again. They also give us reason to pause and to consider what are we going wrong. Look at the shocking statistics on rape and other sexual offenses. Establishment of the Sexual Offense Division under the Office of the Director of Public Relations was a critical milestone. Protection of women, children, and vulnerable members of society requires the involvement of the entire society. I pay tribute today to the continuous support of the Fiji Women Crisis Center in dealing with this crisis. The Social Welfare Department should be praised as well. It's incumbent on all of us as legal practitioners and upholders of the law to ensure that children and vulnerable witnesses are treated with care and sensitivity during court proceedings. The antidote of these crimes of sexual violence lies largely in the way people are brought up and nurtured within the culture of the home, church, and of course religion. That's what we mean when we say the issue here involves society as a whole. At the same time, we must ensure that the accused right to a fair trial. We acknowledge there are gray areas here that requires attention. The aim should be to close the gap between the initial stages of the investigation until the final phase of court proceedings. Intellectual property relating to film making is also something that needs to be given special attention. because the film industry has the potential to become much bigger. Film Fiji Chair Dalkame has been speaking about the prospects of growing this section of our economy. We need to concentrate more on the intellectual property aspect. That will be done, I assure you. Finally, I touch on the complexities of contract law and what is said about that. For lawyers engaged in mediation, preparation is paramount. Maintaining a balance between persuasion and respect ensures effective resolution. Remember, the dispute belongs to the clients. Let them have a voice. Remember as well what mediation is a cornerstone of our legal system. I recall as one of the first projects under PPP, public-private partnership, I was given a file when I was in Lotoka about 2008. Matapo Limited, Ministry of Finance and National Planning in AG. We all know Momi. The initial contract was drafted to ensure that Matapo will only be paid after the hotel is built. However, in the world of politics, the amendment to the contract. And I was given a difficult task to convince the court that the initial intention of the agreement was not amended by the second agreement. Unfortunately, our submission was not heard. So the court agreed with the plaintiff that the agreement of $1 million was actually meant just for the road itself, not for the completion of the hotel. Well, during those times when decrees are made, we went to Court of Appeal, we lost. A decree was drafted to ensure that Matapo complete the project before they are finally paid. Until today, I'm advised by the Solicitor General, we're still negotiating in terms of paying Matapo. Your coalition government listen. It listened yesterday, it listened today. It started listening to you 16 years ago. And we will continue to listen to you, lawyers. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to me. And I repeat that I'm always ready to listen to you. Thank you and Binawali.